There is no charge for awesomeness.
Hi everybody, it's Guru Bob again, and this time I'm recording a video on the Market Samurai tool. Hopefully by now you have seen where to go and get and download and install the Market Samurai tool. But I did want to sort of talk briefly about Market Samurai before we went into some detail about how to use it with respect to the 30-day challenge. Market Samurai is an internet marketing cross-platform application which ultimately will include a lot of functionality, including the keyword and research functionality, which is going to be the focus of this video. The tool's been created by a third-party company called Noble Samurai, and they have very graciously allowed us to use this tool, even though it's still in development, for the 30-day challenge. They've also graciously allowed us to offer up this tool for free during the period of time that the 30-day challenge takes place. Ultimately, there will be some free parts of this tool, but some paid parts, and I'll go into that a little bit more when we look at the actual tool itself. Now, because the tool is in development, and in fact you'll see quite a lot of development occurring throughout the 30-day challenge as they bring functionality that we need into the tool, you will need to expect that there might be some problems. Right now the tool has not been fully tested on all computer configurations, and there will be some bugs in the way that the tool works here and there. So if you have problems or any issues, then please head on over to www.noblesamurai.com/support and submit a help ticket there, and I'm sure somebody will get back to you as soon as they can. Please remember that the Market Samurai tool is not a 30-day challenge product. There's no point sending an email to 30daychallenge@gmail.com. You must go over to the support page for Noble Samurai and enter a help ticket there. Alright, well, without further ado, why don't we have a look at the tool itself. When you first download and install Market Samurai, you'll be sent to this screen here. Market Samurai is a project tool, so you have the ability to analyze a number of different keywords and save them underneath a project. So there's a new project area here, and if you already have an existing project, then you can click on the open button here. But we're going to be starting a new project for this example. Now, I'm going to start off with a very high-level keyword here. I rather hope, if you understand the comments I made in my earlier video on market keyword research, that you start off with a much more niche-specific key phrase. But I do want to be able to show you how you can use Market Samurai to begin to find niches and drill down through those niches to micro-niches by manipulating Market Samurai in a very specific way. So I'm going to start off with a very high-level keyword, guitar, and show you what you need to do. I'm going to call this the guitar project, and I'm just going to put in my documents. I'm going to click on create. Now, ultimately, and it doesn't happen right now, but ultimately Market Samurai is going to have a lot of functionality. Right now, and certainly on day one, the only function that's going to be available to you is the keyword research function. And I can happily report that this function will always be free. Even when the tool goes outside of the trial period, the keyword research functionality of Market Samurai will always be free. You'll never have to pay to use that function. Now, the other functionality is ultimately going to be paid functionality. There will be a one-time payment in order to activate this functionality, but the Noble Samurai people have graciously allowed a 40-day trial period during the 30-day challenge, which means that whatever functionality that becomes available, and I'm hoping that at least the first 4 functions will become available at some point throughout the 30-day challenge, those functions will be available fully unrestricted for free for a period of 40 days. After that period of time, then the keyword research functionality will stay free, but in order to retain access to the other functions, then there will be a one time payment required. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to be yet in order to retain that. As I say, during the 30-day challenge, all the functions that become available will be available for free. Okay, so seeing that we've got our starting keyword here, guitar, we're going to click on the keyword research module, and we're going to leave the defaults as they are. Now, if we use the Google external keyword tool, which that's what the Google synonym tool here is, then we should get a couple of hundred keywords returned when we do an initial analysis on our starting keyword. And we're going to apply the traffic filter here just to make sure that no keywords that have no organic traffic are included within the list that gets returned. The SEO Digger option here sources keywords from a different source, a website called SEO Digger, but I don't really want you to start off with that tool because it tends to return a much larger list of keywords, which basically doesn't really necessarily add value at this stage, because we're just trying to explore the top-level keyword guitar just to get an idea of what the possible niches and mega niches are within that market. So I'm going to click on the Generate Keywords button here, and it's going to go off to the Google External Keyword Tool. I'm required to enter a CAPTCHA. And then Market Samurai will investigate an interface with the Google External Keyword Tool to bring back keywords that are semantically related or related to my starting keyword guitar. Okay, so you can see that we've had 199 keywords returned here, and these keywords are all related in some way to guitar, as you can see. There's a lot of one-word keywords at the bottom of this list, and a lot of two-word keywords, which means that these are going to be either market or mega niche type keywords. In and of themselves, almost certainly these are going to be far too competitive. So our interest in these keywords at this stage is just to give us ideas of what some niches might be within the guitar market that we might want to explore further. Now, in order to make that exploration, I'm going to do an initial analysis based on traffic only. So I'm going to click on Analyze Keywords here, and you can see that the default at this level is to get the organic traffic data back from the Google External Keyword Tool, which is the total number of searches that this keyword's had per day, and the projected number of amount of traffic that the website in the #1 position for that keyword in Google might expect to receive. And also because Google External Keyword Tool offers it a little idea of what the trend of the traffic trend is over a 12-month period. So I'm going to click on Analyze Keywords and go and get that traffic information for these niche and mega niche keywords. Now, that's relatively quick because most of the traffic data was already returned when we did the initial keyword dig back on the previous screen. I can click on any of the column headers here and it will sort the data based on that. So you can see we've got traffic, total number of search numbers here, and then the projected traffic that the #1 website received, which will be roughly 41% of the total search number. And the trends box just gives us an idea of what the cyclical nature of that traffic is over a 12-month period. And you can see that some keywords are quite cyclical and some keywords are very flat, which means there's a very consistent demand. Now, at this point, I've done this traffic only analysis in order to get an idea of what the possible niches are that I might want to explore within the guitar market. And I can scroll through this list looking for key phrases that I might be interested in exploring further, sub-niches that I might be looking to possibly build a website into that niche. So I'm just going down the list here, basically looking for niches that I might be interested in. If I'm particularly interested in guitar amps, then I might explore that niche further. I've not found anything that I like just yet, but here we go. This might be of interest to me. And I know that certainly Ed is very interested in vintage guitars, and I notice that vintage guitar is here, very consistent traffic demand. That's about 1,000 searches a day for the website in position 1 in Google for that phrase. So I'm going to drill down further and do more detailed analysis of that particular niche. And I can do that very simply by pressing on the key button here. It will open up a new tab focused on the vintage guitar keyword. And it gives me the choice of analyzing that keyword based on different functionality. But in our case, and certainly on day 1, the only function that's available to us is going to be keyword research. So I'm going to click on that again. Now I can do another analysis. Instead of being guitar, now I'm now going to focus on vintage guitar. And I'm going to use the same filters here, the Google Synonym tool and SEO traffic filter that I did before. And then click Generate Keywords. Notice that I haven't been asked to enter another captcha, largely because we're still in the same session as we were before. However, if I had shut down Market Samurai and probably left it for half an hour or so, then it probably would have asked me to enter a captcha in again. But if we're staying within the same session, that probably won't happen. Now, that was returned fairly quickly. I've got 193 keywords returned. And now these keywords, you can see they're very different to the keywords that were returned when I did the search on guitar. Because now we've asked the Google External Keyword Tool to deliver much more related key phrases, semantically related key phrases to the vintage guitar phrase, which is very different to the guitar phrase. So you can see also that we've got a much larger number of 3 and occasionally some 4 word keywords here. So now we've got keywords that are much more likely to be niche and micro niche phrases, which is what we really want to be exploring. Nevertheless, even though I'm now very sort of focused towards a niche that I might be interested in, I still think it's worth going through this list and removing any keywords that are either too general or not related to our keyword of interest, which is vintage guitar. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can do that. If I've got a keyword that particular keyword I want to remove, I just click on the cross there, and it will place that keyword into the negative keywords box and remove that from the active list. And you can see, because it's a single keyword, it puts that keyword in square brackets, which means I'm just removing that keyword from the list. If I've got a couple of keywords that are consistently occurring within key phrases, like perhaps the word amplifiers, then I can click on that word, the word becomes underlined, then I can click on the cross button next to the word, and it will remove every instance of the word amplifiers, even if that amplifiers is contained within several key phrases in this list. And you can see that I've now removed 3 keywords, so there must have been 2 keywords that contained the word amplifiers. Similarly, there's amps here. I'm going to remove that one. Now I've got, even though I've only got 3 words in this negative keywords list, I've actually removed 7 keywords from the list. Having done that, I can begin to go through this list and remove all the obviously too general keywords or unrelated keywords from my list of keywords here. And you can see that I'm going through and just removing the 2 general keywords. Used guitar, that might indeed include some vintage guitars, retro guitar, so forth and so on. There's a lot of Gibson guitar, it doesn't say vintage, so I'm going to take that. There's a lot of key phrases that include the word vintage, which is good. I'm assuming that these are brands, so vintage Rickenbacker is a brand of guitar. Hondo guitar is a brand, but it doesn't include vintage. Guitar prices, acoustic electric guitars, a bit general. Left-handed, well, that's not an indicator of vintage. It looks like the rest of my keywords are pretty well related to my starting keyword. So you can see that I've now removed a bunch of keywords. I've got 172 active keywords in my list, and I've removed 21. If I want to see the keywords that I've actually removed, I can click on the Show Removed box here, and it just shows the keywords that I've removed from the list. Okay, so having filtered my list of keywords so that they're highly related to my niche interest, which is vintage guitar, I'm now going to click on Analyze. Now, at this stage, I can analyze those keywords for quite a lot of different information. But what I'm going to do initially is just get the traffic numbers for those keywords, because my main interest is to get keywords that meet my traffic criteria. There's no point doing competition analysis or go and get commerciality scores for keywords that ultimately either have too little traffic. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on the just on the organic traffic variables here, total searches, SEO traffic and trends, and go and get that data from the list. Hopefully that should be fairly quick, because most of that information will already have received in my earlier search. Now, having actually got that information, I can search on, I can filter on either my searches or SEO traffic. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a filter here. And because I'm really only interested in keywords that have got 80 searches a day or higher, I'm going to filter this keyword list based on that. And then click Analyze Keywords again, and that's Market Samurai is then going to filter the list so it only shows me keywords that have got 80 searches a day or higher. And you can see that we've already got a much smaller list of keywords now than we had previously. Having applied that filter, I'm now going to get the other information that I want in relation to competition and OCI and some AdWords information. So I'm going to click on the AdWords box, I'm going to click on the SEO competition number, and I'm going to click on the OCI score. At this stage I'm not really interested in PPC, so I'm not going to go and get the AdWords competition for these keywords, and I'm not going to get the AdWords value in SEO at this stage. We will probably explain what those mean in another video, but they're really peripheral variables that are calculated based on the amount of traffic multiplied by the cost of that traffic in AdWords, just to give an indication of what the traffic is worth. Having requested this additional information, I'm going to click Analyze Keywords again, and then Market Samurai will go out and retrieve the extra data that we don't have for these keywords. Because we've filtered our lists only to have keywords that meet our traffic criteria, there's a much smaller number of keywords now that we need to get competition information for. So it should happen, more efficiently, and we've got much less chance of being banned in Google, because we're doing a much smaller number of competition searches, and it's competition searches which is the reason, most of the reason why you're likely to be banned. You can see that it's actually pulling the data back in parallel. It's pulling the SEO competition numbers and the OCI numbers roughly at the same time. And I think once it has got those numbers, it then goes and gets the AdWords data. The tool actually recovers the AdWords data from the Google AdWords traffic estimator, which is a different function than the Google external keyword tool. Okay, it took about just over 4 minutes to pull back all that information, the competition information, the AdWords and OCI scores and the competition numbers for all the keywords that pass my traffic criteria, which is 80 searches a day. Now I've got a very small list here, so I probably don't need to do any more filters, because I can sort based on these. But what I'm also going to do here is apply a competition filter, just to look at keywords that are less than my sort of preferred competition numbers. I'm going to put in 50,000 here just to sort of give me the maximum possible range, but really what we're looking for is for keywords that are less than, preferably less than 30,000 searches. So having now got the competition data, I can now filter the display based on a competition filter number and click on Analyze Keywords again, and then that's going to filter this list based on both 80 searches a day, which was my previous filter, and 50,000 competing pages, which is my competition filter. So while we're waiting for this tool to complete, effectively what we've done is we've started off with our market keyword, guitar. We pulled back a list of keywords using the Google Synonym tool, which effectively are mega niche keywords and niche keywords within the market of guitar. We selected one of those keywords, vintage guitar, and did another analysis based on the key phrase vintage guitar. Having pulled back keywords from the tool for vintage keyword guitar, we did another analyze just based on organic traffic, and having pulled that data back, we then filtered the traffic based on 80 searches a day. Having done that, we then requested the other information that we wanted for those keywords, the AdWords data and the competition data and the commerciality score, the OCI score, which is the indicator of commerciality. And having then recovered all that information for our filtered keywords, we then finally filtered the list based on traffic and phrase match competition, and ultimately we are left with 5 keywords. And all of those keywords essentially meet our both search criteria, which is greater than 80 searches a day for the website in position 1, the SEO traffic score, and they all have less than 50,000 competing pages. And you'll notice that one of those keywords is a derivative of our starting phrase. So our starting phrase was vintage guitar, and indeed we have this key phrase here, vintage electric guitar, which has 205 searches a day for the website in position 1 and a phrase match competition of 32,600. Now it's slightly higher than what would be preferred, which would be 30,000, but because the keyword is highly relevant to our sort of niche of interest, which is vintage guitar, that would be a suitable candidate for this. The tool is suggesting that if you were advertising in AdWords, Google AdWords, for the key phrase vintage electric guitar, you'd be receiving 14 clicks a day, and those clicks would cost you 63 cents per click, and the click-through rate is 2.87%, which is fairly good. I mean, if the click-through rate is less than 1%, then the likelihood is that people are more interested in the organic website returns than the ads. But when the click-through rate is sort of above 2%, then a reasonable proportion of people are prepared to click on ads, which means they might be interested in buying something. And of course we have the OCI scores, and in the case of vintage electric guitar, it's 99%, which is exceptionally high. That basically means that people that are searching for vintage electric guitar are almost certainly looking to buy something. Now, as far as OCI is concerned, I wouldn't use that variable as a way of filtering out keywords. At this stage, I only want you to filter keywords based on search traffic and based on competition numbers. But if you've got several keywords that are meeting your search and competition criteria within a niche, like we have here, then you might use OCI and or click-through rate, or both, as a way of prioritizing your keyword list, because we are going to be asking you to choose one keyword within your niche as the main theme keyword for your website or blog. The other keywords are still valuable to us. We still will use those keywords, but they will be used in a different way. Ultimately, we need to identify one main theme keyword that meets our search and competition criteria, and hopefully also has reasonable sort of indications of commerciality. All right, as you can see, Market Samurai is a very complex tool. It actually allows you to do an awful lot of things, but at this early stage, we simply want you to use Market Samurai to investigate your niche ideas that you came up with on day 1. And hopefully at the end of day 2, you will have investigated, your main niche ideas, with the goal of hopefully finding two or three micro niches where there's at least one keyword within that micro niche that meets your search and competition criteria, which is less than, hopefully less than 30,000 competing pages phrase matched, and hopefully more than 80 to 100 searches a day. So your job is to now go off and use Market Samurai to investigate your niches and hopefully identify 2 or 3 micro niches with at least one keyword that meets those criteria. I hope you can see how wonderful Market Samurai is going to be for you to investigate your niches. Last year we had to do all this manually, but this year with Market Samurai we'll be able to explore and investigate a very large number of possible keywords in order to find those micro niche keywords that have got some traffic, daily traffic, but have an acceptable level of competition. Now we will be looking at more of the functions of Market Samurai as we go through the 30-day challenge, so don't worry about the fact that we haven't covered everything here. But I believe also the Noble Samurai people are going to be doing videos that explain some of the sort of the functional parts of Market Samurai in terms of the settings and what some of the buttons mean and so forth. But our videos throughout the challenge will be more focused on the strategic use of Market Samurai to achieve our goals that we set within the 30-day challenge. So with that being said, I hope you have fun with Market Samurai. It's a wonderful tool. I hope you find some fantastic keywords within your niche, and I look forward to seeing you again on day 3. Talk soon.
There is no charge for awesomeness.